Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area, and Kyle Shanahan addressed the elephant in the room, which has been Brandon Aiyuk and the situation that just broke for the report that came out last night that his guarantees on his contract have been voided, and that means he is not guaranteed any money in 2026, which also does give the 49ers an option to release, trade, waive him without owing him any money. The most fascinating part of this to me is that this all happened in July. So this happened right at the start of training camp or right before training camp. Kyle Shanahan would not give us the details on what exactly triggered the team to tell Brandon Aiyuk that his guarantees were voided. But generally, things like that are conduct detrimental to the team. It is not showing up to maybe his physical, maybe meetings in the training camp timeframe, not reporting to the team when he was asked to for team activities, whatever they may be. Now, Kyle Shanahan did clarify that it's not missing team meetings now. Players that are on IR do not go to game plan meetings. Right now, the meetings all that are all happening right now are game plan meetings. So they're talking about this week's opponent, how they're going to game plan for them. And generally, guys who are rehabbing do not go to those meetings. Now, I've heard that Fred Warner, also, who has been around for some meetings, some game film sessions, he also does not do that. Tatum Bethune has told me that he'll go find Fred Warner in the rehab room along with Nick Bosa, and that's kind of where those two guys are hanging out. And Michael Williams, I'm sure as well. Those guys are hanging out in the training rooms, getting their physical therapy, and they're in there as opposed to being in meeting rooms with the team preparing for a game. So I'm not sure whether Brandon Aiyuk wasn't going to rehab sessions here with the team. No one knows. Kyle Shanahan would not tell us or reveal what triggered the team to make this move. But I think the craziest part is really that it happened in July. So Brandon Aiyuk injured himself last year mid-season. He was supposed to go through his rehab with the team. He had surgery, major knee surgery. I mean, right, it was ACL, MCL, meniscus. I mean, there was a lot of damage in his knee. It was a catastrophic knee injury. So for him to be out there in front of all of us during training camp, during the month of September, running routes and looking like he was about ready to have his window open seemed normal. But what we didn't know is that behind the scenes, months earlier in July, something happened that made the team unhappy with Brandon Aiyuk enough that he was in breach of contract. Because he was in breach of contract, they voided his guarantees. And Brandon Aiyuk did not appeal those guarantees, that voiding, which is also shocking. Generally, if a guy doesn't think he's guilty of doing whatever the team is saying he is doing, the team, you know, would get an appeal. The player would appeal to the team saying, hey, this is what's going on. I didn't make these, whatever the requirements were to keep my contract valid. I didn't do those because of this or this or this. Brandon Aiyuk did not do that at all. He did not challenge it. He did not try to get the guaranteed money back. I think that says a lot. Now, obviously, we still don't know what happened. We don't know what the issues, what they may be. But Kyle Shanahan is still hopeful that Brandon Aiyuk is healthy enough to come back and play at some point this season for the 49ers. Now, someone also asked him, with the guarantees not, being voided now, the team can basically say goodbye to Brandon Aiyuk if they'd like, and there's no cost. But Kyle Shanahan said, he would really like him to be back. And he also said in his 20 years of coaching and being involved in the NFL, and probably if there was a situation where his dad had to deal with it, he probably would have mentioned it. But in his 20 years, he's never been in this situation before. He says, someone asked him if he, was felt let down after, helping Brandon Aiyuk and getting the deal done yet. And Kyle Shanahan said, I'm not really there yet. I know everyone got a lot of information yesterday. That was information that I found out in July and kind of dealt with it then. And to me, the contract stuff and the guarantees and things like that is irrelevant to my relationship with the player and my relationship to our team and what we're trying to do this year. I know I went through that stuff and talked to him a lot about it back in July. But since July, it's been all about the season, hoping he would get healthy, and that he's been working to get healthy, and I've been waiting for him to come back. So, um, Brandon Brandon Aiyuk is wanted back at this team. They want him to get back on the field. They want him to get healthy. Um, Trent Williams spoke today and didn't want to discuss it at all. He said, "I love Be Like a Brother. I hope he gets back," and I'm going to leave it at that. Jauan Jennings says, "Yeah, I talked to him. I hope he's healing up well," but that's all they talk about. Generally, when there's contract issues or hold-ins, holdouts, guys don't talk about that. The only time they talk about that is if, let's say, a player like, I know when Nick Bosa and Fred Warner were going through their first contract negotiations with the 49ers, they talked to Richard Sherman, who is a vet. So they talked to him asking advice. But as far as things like this, I think people do, hey, how are you doing? How's the healing going? But they're not going to get into the weeds about something like this with a guy like Brandon Aiyuk. It just doesn't happen that way. But Jauan Jennings said, hey, I talked to him. Trent Williams refused to add any details other than the fact that he hopes he gets back. But Ricky Pearsall did offer a little bit more insight. Ricky Pearsall was teammates with Brandon Aiyuk back in 2019 when they were both at Arizona State before Ricky transferred to Florida. And he said his relationship with him is special. He's a huge part of his journey and helped him learn how to run routes. And he said, I think he's doing fine. It's hard because he's a quiet guy. He's to himself, but as much as I can, I reach out to him and show love his way because he's done that throughout my journey, just trying to pay dues back to him. I think he's doing good. So, um, yeah, Ricky Pearsall also said, hey, I don't know the logistics of what's happening off the field. He's just trying to be supportive of his teammate as much as he can. And I think that's what everybody in the locker room is trying to do. Uh, as I said before, I hope Brandon Aiyuk is okay. I never want to be right about a dissolution of a relationship between a player and a team, but this is something that, it's crazy that it's happened in July. I kind of started getting a sense that there was something going on probably about mid-September, October, maybe mid-October. It's been about a month or so. And, Brandon Aiyuk was very visible throughout September, being out there with his teammates, being out there running routes, kind of showing that he was getting closer. And then probably around week 6, we just did not see him again. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan said his recovery was getting better. He was getting close to coming back, and then no updates. So he is still week to week. They hope he comes back. But again, we have not seen Brandon Aiyuk since before week 6 when the 49ers played the Rams on Thursday Night Football. It's been a long time. All of us hope that he gets back. I think the team is better when Brandon Aiyuk is on the field. Football is better when the best players are playing. But still, if he does have his practice window open, it's going to be weeks before he actually gets out on the field. So I would think if his practice window is not opened by the bye, it's going to be really hard for him to get back on the field and actually play a game. Because at that point, week 14 is their bye. They'll have, 15, 16, 17, 4 more games after that. Potentially the playoffs. I just don't know if that's enough time for Brandon Aiyuk to get back into um, running routes and being in tune with Brock Purdy and the offense and remembering everything that happens in a game plan from Kyle Shanahan. I mean, maybe it's like riding a bike and he's back on it as soon as possible, but I do know that they're not going to open his window and put him right into a game in that same week. It's not going to happen. He hasn't played football since week 8 of 2024. It's been a long time. So it's going to take him a while to get back up to speed. Um, so Kyle Shanahan said potentially he's back next year. Um, it doesn't seem likely, but you never say never. So again, hoping Brandon Aiyuk is back. I hope he's better. I hope he's okay, emotionally, physically, mentally, and I think that's what everybody wants. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan wants. That's kind of what he had to say, but no one knows what sparked the change. Kyle Shanahan was like, you'd have to ask him that. He was at rehab yesterday, which was Friday. Today is Saturday, and Kyle Shanahan did not see him today. But I mean, he's in the building on Saturday, so he's been around. He just um, hasn't been hitting the benchmarks needed to have his practice window open. But they're saying there still is hope. All right, everybody. This is Saturday. More for you coming up. Maybe I'll do a live a little bit later, or maybe a live during watching games tomorrow. Get to watch all the games tomorrow. I'm so excited. Hope you all are well. Enjoy your weekend, and we will definitely chat soon.